what happened was, hey y'all, how's it going? Awesome, I hope. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about a little health condition I have. So it's called hemiplegic migraine. 2003, I believe, or 4. Those 2 years run together for me for some reason. So, because a lot of bad things happened in those 2 years, or like not the 2 years, but like a year from starting in 2003 and ending in 2004. What happened was I was laying down on my living room floor, and because I think I had like a little sleepover with my daughters and we were just sleeping on the floor, or maybe it had been thunderstorming, and whenever it would thunderstorm, they didn't like to sleep in their beds, so we would always sleep on the floor. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna sit up. So I sat up. I don't remember like why or anything, but I sat up and my leg was asleep. So I was like, oh, my leg's asleep, my right leg. So I was like trying to hit it, and then I realized that my arm was asleep, and I was like, that's weird. Must be because I was sleeping on the floor, because you know it's hard. There was carpet, but it's not like a bed. Then I was like trying to talk out loud, and I realized I couldn't move the side of my face. I couldn't like make words come out or anything. So I start freaking out, and I wake up the girls, and I'm like telling them to go get their dad, and they call 911. So 911 comes, the firemen come first. They stick an aspirin under my tongue just in case I'm having a stroke. They took me to the hospital. So I get to the hospital and I'm talking to the triage, and they were like, oh, you're not having a stroke. And I was like, how do you know this, you know? And by the time I actually got there, it was starting to wear off, and I was able to talk again. So I was able to tell them exactly what happened. So then I tell them, and they're like, no, you're not having a stroke, because if you were having a stroke, you know, you'd have numbness on one side, but then it would switch sides or something like that. And I was like, that doesn't sound right to me. And honest to God, I don't know if that's right to this day. So don't like take that as medical advice. That's just what they told me that day. So I was just like, well, I don't know what else would be causing that besides a stroke. They ran all these tests on me, CT scans, you know, x-rays, like blood work, pee work, everything you can think of. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Next thing you know, it's 2 days later, or the next day. I don't know. It was so long ago, but I felt like I was in there for a long time. This neurologist comes in, and she says, or he says, you had a migraine. And I was like, no, I didn't. I never got a headache. And he was just like, no, you don't have to have a headache to have a migraine. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't think anyone in my family knew what in the world he was talking about. So then he started explaining all about hemiplegic migraine. It's basically, some people do get a headache, some people don't. The headache can come before, the headache can come after. But what happens is you just have numbness on one side of the body. Some people's right, some people's left. Sometimes, depending on the severity of the migraine, you'll have complete numbness on one side. Other times you'll have slight numbness where you're not even sure what's going on. I had more of those than I ever did of the really bad one. The really bad one that sent me to the hospital, I only had that once. So any I got after that were always the smaller ones. He says you need to see your neurologist, which I think at that time I already had one for fibromyalgia. So I'm pretty sure this happened after the fibro diagnosis. I'm not sure though. This is all in the same year. Then I see a neurologist, and the neurologist is like, okay, so we're gonna put you on Neurontin. So they give me Neurontin. It was a female, I remember now. She's actually passed away since. Anyway, she was great. She put me on Neurontin, and I had a little bit of an allergic reaction. My lips kind of like swelled up, so it wasn't severe or anything, but she was just like, obviously you can't take that every day. So it took me off that. And then she put me on Depakote ER 500. And so I stayed on Depakote 500, ER 500 for about 8 to 10 years. I honestly cannot remember when I got off of it. I feel like it was 2011 or 2012, but I'm not sure. As you age, things tend to run together. So I was on it, and then I had been on it for a long time, and I wasn't having the headaches anymore. I never had them ever. Like, life was just normal, and I was just taking Depakote. Disclaimer, while we're talking about Depakote, I had I got pregnant when I was on it. The first time I got pregnant while I was on it, I quit immediately as soon as I found out I was pregnant. I wasn't told to quit taking it, but I just felt like I should. And then after consulting with my doctor, they were like, yeah, you can't take it when you're pregnant because they don't know the effects it has on babies. So I was like, okay. And that baby actually ended up having a neural tube defect called acrania. So, which we now know 99.99% was caused by Depakote. So you don't want to take Depakote while you're pregnant, or even trying, honestly. And I don't think they will prescribe it to you if you are. So then I was still on it when I got pregnant with my 12-year-old. And I got pregnant in 2005. So yeah, I was still on it at that point. Oh yeah, definitely. I was definitely on at that point. So I stopped taking it with her as soon as I found out. She was fine. I wasn't trying to get pregnant. I just did. So she was fine. She did not have any issue with it. But I just wanted to throw that little beep, beep, beep in there just in case. So anyway, back to the story. Depakote worked. Towards the end of being on it for a really long time, my neurologist, I had a different one, he was like, so you've been on this for like 8-10 years and you haven't had a migraine? And I was like, no, I haven't had a migraine since 2006 was my last one. And that was triggered by drinking cheap beer. In fact, it was triggered by drinking Tecate. So I do not drink that stuff anymore. I'm extremely picky with what I drink. So anyway, he was like, okay, well, let's try tapering you off. You're going to take 250 milligrams and blah, blah, blah. So they tapered me off. And so that was however long ago, 2011 or 12. Like I said, I can't remember. And I have not had one since. With the exception of I had Mondor's disease. And I think, I know I made a video about it. Actually, I'll just put a link below or an iCard. So Mondor's, it's weird because it's actually the opposite of what this migraine does. So Mondor's actually your vein hardens inside of your breast. So I had that and it was terrifying, and I was like, what is wrong with me? And apparently it's just like a random thing that happens and it goes away. But you do have to have it confirmed that that's what it is. So during the time I had Mondor's, I had some hemiplegic migraines. They were so tiny that I kept questioning if that's what they were. And so I spoke to my regular doctor because I haven't seen my neurologist in a really long time because I don't need to. So she said, well, if you keep having them and the Mondor's is gone, then you probably need to go back to her neurologist and see like what's going on and why they're coming back or whatever. So it was probably within a few days of seeing her that I didn't have them anymore. And the problem just was gone. By the time I got actually diagnosed with Mondor's disease, he said it was on its way out. Like it was already, the vein was already like correcting itself. I don't know what that means or what it does, which vein issues are scary. So I just needed to, honestly, as I age, I really need to take care of myself because I don't want to have vein problems that I can avoid by exercise and eating healthy. So anything I can do to not have these migraines and keep my veins as healthy as possible, I'm gonna do. So anyways, I was trying to see my old notes from my doctor. His handwriting is ridiculous. Can you read that? I mean, seriously. I don't know if it focused. So his secretary actually like translated some stuff for me. He said I had issues with my right arm swinging with spasticity in my right leg. This was him doing those neurological tests and stuff. He said I was still on Depakote and I needed to take baby aspirin, vitamin D. He also had me on calcium, multivitamin, and then something called Youth Glow at Whole Foods, which I remember getting Youth Glow, and it did not make me feel good. It gave me really bad heartburn. So, because I also used to have gastritis. Y'all, I was a hot mess, okay? Just like my whole health issues back then, hot mess. It was bad. All that got corrected, like 90% of it got corrected when I became a pescatarian. So, anyways, if y'all have any questions on hemiplegic migraine, please leave them below, and I'm going to be doing an update on fibromyalgia and answering your questions on that too. So you can leave fibromyalgia questions, you can leave gastritis questions, yeah, anything, or aging questions, because my channel is mostly about aging. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Love y'all. Bye.